Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
And hello all, and what is going on, and how y'all doing this very late Sunday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and just like earlier, for the first time since late April, we are here live on YouTube to talk about this past week's episode of SmackDown. Now, do not expect these live reviews. I only did these live reviews this week this weekend, because I felt like there was a lot of stuff to talk about that happened with WWE this past week. TV was a little more interesting than normal, again, as I talked about in the Raw review, because Triple H is in full control currently for the time being, as Vince McMahon is on both medical leave, and he's also being investigated yet again. And as I said in the Raw review, expect it all to brush over, and he will be fine, and he will be back in charge of whatever power he most definitely desires whenever he recovers from his spinal surgery and whatnot. So this is like a temporary thing. But I felt like, because there was some talking points, that I should go live. Because this stream, before we do the actual SmackDown review, there was also a couple pieces of news this past week that I do want to briefly address as well. And it is late at night on a Sunday, so hopefully I can get through this review pretty solid. Anybody in the live chat right now? Currently there is not. But we are going to roll through, and again, we were going to talk about this episode of SmackDown. But like I said before, first, I did have two brief topics I wanted to address. The first one is we had a big update on Bray Wyatt this past week. The update entails that Bray Wyatt is closer for a possible September return to WWE. And it's reported that he has, in fact, been dealing with an illness. They didn't disclose what exactly it is. I'm still wondering if it has something to do with mental health, because I know he does deal with some mental health stuff. And especially also the passing of Brody Lee, again, really has had... It's taken a toll on him for sure. Her losing one of his great longtime friends. Of course, again, this coincidentally happened once Vince McMahon came back to WWE. And we all know one person who was oil and water with Vince McMahon, and that was Bray Wyatt, who Vince McMahon dropped the ball on him plenty of times. Even though, again, his Uncle Howdy storyline or whatnot was not really doing him many favors since his big return he had back at Extreme Rules last fall, which is coming up on a year since that return. And coincidentally also, this news is coming out also while Vince McMahon is gone. As I said in my Raw review, why are we starting stuff this week that is probably going to get ruined anyway when Vince comes back? Like, Triple H probably of all people knows when Vince is coming back. But at this point, you should be thinking like Vince and not get our hopes up as some of these guys are getting a little bit more of a spotlight, when in reality it's not. It's going to be much different once Vince returns, because it's his company, his branch. Although again, he will not have as much. He won't be the majority shareholder come after the sale closes soon. He still is going to have a lot more power than it seems like at this point. Apparently, though, this illness Bray Wyatt was dealing with was both career and life-threatening. They said nothing, of course, about how, Vince McMahon returning has had any impact on him. They haven't said about that. But, man, for the past few years, especially with the stuff with Brody Lee, and then, of course, we had Keith Lee, who was away for a while, very secretive about his illnesses, too. It does worry you when you hear stuff like this, hearing that these wrestlers have been dealing with some not just career-threatening, but life-threatening issues. Again, it does worry you a little bit, especially when they stay dead silent about some things for a while. You don't want, because did anybody expect Brody Lee to die? I mean, respect to their family, they wanted to, keep that all private. But the fact that, it's like things keep getting more and more secretive like that, it does worry you for sure. Like, again, you can just never know who you could pull up on Twitter or pull up, in the news and see what happens, and it just shocks the life out of you. So, again, all I kept saying for months is that I just hope Bray Wyatt's okay. And it sounds like he could be back soon. And plans, though, are in place for him when he does come back. And again, a possible return is September. So, we will see what happens when Bray returns. Again, I'm just hoping, of course, with Vince lurking around, it's not going to screw things up. Most likely will. But we'll just have to wait and see. The other news I wanted to stress quickly has to do with Triple H. Now, when the sale closes for Endeavour, they're saying Triple H will still be the chief content officer, even though Vince is going to basically be firing the shots, and Triple H has to basically make whatever he wants work. Well, Triple H apparently, when the sale closes, he is not, and I repeat, not, going to be on the new board of directors. Which, of course, I found it strange, especially since Triple H has been in the business for a very, very long time. If there's anybody who I feel is qualified to make some big decisions like this for the company, it's him. I mean, if it's because he just doesn't want as much responsibility since he's in charge of creative, then okay. But here's what worries me, though, about this. If Triple H is not on the board, how do you not know that someone can use that to their advantage to help get Vince back into full control of creative? Yes, I get it. It takes a lot of his plate. Yeah, I hear stuff like even Dana White, who's the president of UFC, which again is merging with WWE with this new Endeavour deal. He's not even on the board as well. So that made me feel a little better when I heard that. But still, the idea that Triple H is not on the board and the board can easily write him out of his job whenever he wants, that part scares me a little bit. It keeps going back to the same I've been saying for months now. I just can't trust Vince. I don't. I just can't. How did I know he's going to screw over Triple H with all this? Who knows? But again, it's just something that I briefly wanted to address. Let's get into the SmackDown review. SmackDown was solid this week. There was stuff that, again, what I respect about Triple H, again, is the fact that when he's in full control, he at least tries, even if, of course, it has to have some segment that, isn't going over well, he still tries to keep the continuity going and finish up, what he's starting with, basically. We had a few, little, swerves and curveballs in there, here and there on this episode of SmackDown. It was solid again. I just wouldn't say it was quite as good as Raw, but it was still solid, I thought. There's nobody in the live chat, so we're just going to go through this very quickly because I'm getting ready to go to bed. But the show opened up with another match for the upteenth millionth time. Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, which also, I forgot to mention, also SmackDown took place in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, again, I don't really care about this match. Solely the fact, again, because, again, we've seen it how many times, and the only time Asuka actually gets a victory is with some help, which I think has only happened like once or twice. So I'm pretty sure this match only happened because Asuka sprayed the mist in Charlotte's face. Well, during the match barely gets enough time anyways to begin with. Damage Control come out and start gloating. Then Io gets involved and it's a big beatdown. No help come out though for Charlotte and Asuka. You have to think maybe again another week in a row where we don't have, well, of course, since SummerSlam, and here we haven't seen Shotzi. And every time, isn't when Bayley's out, Shotzi is just like going mad woman, scissor hands or whatnot on Bayley. It didn't happen this time, so I was a bit confused by that. But you know, whatever. It caused DQ. Again, I'm guessing this sets up for another multi-woman match at Payback. Maybe like a fatal four-way with Io, Asuka, Charlotte, and Bianca. I don't know. Especially, again, how the match with the triple threat match at SummerSlam was okay, but I don't know how that will work. Of course, is this going to mean that we're going to give Io a short title reign? Because I'm still thinking at some point, they are going to put that belt back on Charlotte. And of course, I'm not sure if anybody will be happy, of course, when they do that. But that's how we opened the show with that match there. Following that, we have a video package of the Tribal Combat. And of course, we will hear later on in the show what Jimmy Uso had to say as to why he turned on his brother Jay. Then we have Santos Escobar getting interviewed. And he was getting ready for his U.S. title match against Austin Theory. He talked about how he's going to beat Theory, and then Theory blindsides him and smashes his leg with a road case, putting obviously his U.S. title match in jeopardy on the show. Then we got, though, a video package of Karrion Kross about how the time is running out for AJ Styles. AJ comes out with his OC partner, Mia Yim. And then we have another match with AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. Despite some of the botches in that one little sequence, it was still a good match. Definitely better than any of the matches they've had so far. I just didn't care as much. I mean, there was some good near falls. They tried their best to make Kross look strong, but yeah, he's doing a ton of losing. And especially also in the last time they faced each other in a singles match, AJ won in like 3 seconds. So I don't get what the point though was of doing another match between them. But I guess we're moving on from this feud now finally. Are we? I hope so. Austin Theory was of course being interviewed and he mocked Santos Escobar for being made of tissue paper. And then Ray, of course, is pissed off. He tries to get in Austin's face, but they hold them back. And they, as of now, they're making it seem like that Santos is still going to wrestle for the U.S. title on the show. Oh, then we got this segment. This was good. We then have Edge come out as a surprise. He wasn't supposed to be here this week. He was supposed to be coming next week as we're celebrating his 25th anniversary. And first he says next week's a big celebration, but he knew he needed an excuse to get out here to Calgary. Next week, he wants to have a match in Toronto against a man he's never faced one-on-one before. And all the time they've been in the company together. Now, again, before I go any further, I'm not sure if this, because again, I saw the 24 special, where Edge basically said that video was supposed to originally be for just like life after wrestling, but then of course it turned into a whole thing of his comeback. Now again, it might have mentioned this, I can't remember it, but long story short, Edge picked Sheamus, which I was surprised to hear they've never faced each other one-on-one. But I need to be reminded of this, but Sheamus was the one who helped Edge realize he can come back. There was footage of them on like a bike trail and he fell off, but he was fine. And that's kind of where the seed planted of like, maybe I could come back and wrestle on my own terms, basically. But anyways, he mentions that whole story and they have a lot of respect and history for each other. So that does bring out Sheamus. And then we do see the footage of the bike mishap. Edge is like, dude, my butt got shown. But Sheamus was like, oh, we've seen more than just your butt. Referring to the live sex celebration with Edge and Lita, of course. Edge spars back with a picture of Sheamus, though, on his daughter's tiny bike. And Sheamus jokes with it. And Edge wants to know if he'll have the match with Sheamus. And they talk of some history. They speak of a crossroads and whether he keep wrestling or go back to IT, which is Sheamus. WWE came to town. He went backstage. Everybody gave him the cold shoulder except for Edge. And not only did he give him his time, he gave him the best advice he ever got and brought home him a pint of Guinness. And where he comes from, that's a big deal. And then he knew Edge was a world-class act. And the fact that they've never wrestled is astonishing. And of course, basically, he accepts the challenge. Edge appreciates the answer, and Sheamus admits he's a little deaf in his left ear and wants to hear what Calgary thinks and accepts the match. They shake hands, and then they pull each other in close, and Sheamus tells him he hopes he isn't making a mistake. We'll see if that's kind of like a setup for something. You never know. But I still cannot believe that Edge and Sheamus never wrestle each other. But it should be an interesting match for sure when it happens next week. Of course, next week is in Toronto. And I keep wondering if maybe, just maybe, they may fool us and have... what was it again? I lost my train of thought completely. And maybe have like some type of like Sheamus like turning on Edge or something. But anyways, no, I'm sorry. What I was also thinking was though, like there was rumors for a while that this episode of SmackDown in Toronto was going to be Edge's retirement. I still don't think he's going to retire quite yet. I think he does, in fact, want a brief world title run before he ends his career, which he can do. But if he's not doing it here, then there's no point in ending your career yet then. If you're not going to, have the title to satisfy yourself with your career. But, yeah. LA Knight then beat Top Dollar. He cut like a promo afterwards saying it doesn't matter where you go or who you are. At the end of the day, you'll know it's his game. And then we're basically saying that Santos is technically cleared, but he wants to look in his eyes and hear from that he can go. And Escobar was like, oh, I can go. We also had a segment with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, where basically they're saying there's going to be new blood on SmackDown, basically just taking a diss at the Bloodline. That stable's going to be heating up for sure. Santos Escobar was trying to do the U.S. title match, but Austin Theory attacked him on the way in, pissing off Seth Rollins. So much so that you can tell I'm getting tired. Pissed off Rey Mysterio. He got in the ring instead, and he wrestled Austin Theory. And, Rey Mysterio wins the U.S. title. And is now a 3-time U.S. champion. Which, fine. It's good set up to maybe a series of matches with Rey and Santos. Since Santos just missed his world title shot, even though he did beat Austin Theory clean in a non-title match recently, while he was competing to qualify. Which made, again, absolutely no freaking sense at all whatsoever. But may have been the best thing for Austin Theory, because as I keep saying, ever since Cena shrunk him down to size in that one promo, he really has been ice cold. I'm sorry, he didn't benefit from that at all. And again, this run was very flat, if I'm being 100% honest. But I guess this will be Rey Mysterio putting over Santos Escobar, I'm sure, in a phenomenal match at some point down the line. So then we have that. Then we ended with the Bloodline, of course. They come out. Roman asks Calgary to acknowledge him. Then he says, "Yo, wise man, where's Jimmy?" And Heyman's like, "I don't know, I haven't seen him." And when they spoke this morning, Jimmy was rather salty with him. And then Jimmy enters the ring, wearing a hoodie and a sour expression. No music. He tells Roman, don't worry about the... Well, he gets in the ring, and then Roman tells him, nah, Jimmy, don't worry about the crowd. And basically, he's like, let's get serious here, though. I owe you one for helping me out at SummerSlam. What do you want? Basically, we'll list off a couple of things. But Jimmy snaps finally and says, I don't want anything from you. Because what I did at SummerSlam has nothing to do with Roman Reigns. And then Roman laughs it off. He's like, come on, it's got to be it. Does he not want material items? Does he want power, a position to be main event Jimmy Uso? He can make that whatever happen. Well, then out comes Jey Uso. And he immediately gets into his brother's face. And he basically says, you have about just a little bit of time before he throws 37 years down the drain if you don't tell me what happened. Jimmy then, of course, starts getting emotional, and he says something like, what I did at SummerSlam was because I love you. I attacked you not out of jealousy that everybody's going to be accusing me of, but because I was afraid of losing you. And if you won at SummerSlam, if you became tribal chief and won the title, what does that mean? That could possibly mean you turn into being what Roman Reigns is. Of course, there's this fence back and forth thing about Chris Jericho. Oh wait, this is SmackDown. I'm so sorry, but basically the whole question is about this thing. Like, do you believe Jimmy? As he claims he's doing this just to protect him. Well, then again, it could lead to later of some jealousy or whatnot. He's playing the mind games with them. But basically, he refused to let his brother become a asshole like Roman. And it's the truth. If you don't believe him, just basically that he was afraid of losing him, and he loves him. And if he needs to kick 37 years of pain right into his face right now, he's going to take it. Jay, though, then turns his back on Jimmy. Jimmy, who's obviously upset about this, though, leaves. And then Roman's just laughing and tells Jay he told him so. He even starts dissing on Jay more until Jay snaps and super kicks everybody. He super kicked Roman. He super kicked Solo. And then I believe he also what was it? What was his name again? Oh yeah. And then of course he gets back in there, lays everybody out, and then he calls for Jimmy to come down so they can talk. But then Jimmy eats a super kick from Jay. Afterwards, Jay gets in the camera and tells the camera he's out of the bloodline, he's out of SmackDown, and he's out of WWE. So there goes my prediction of them doing it at Payback. Because it looks like they're trying to stall some way to get to WrestleMania for this match with Jimmy versus Jay. As again, I keep saying, I just don't know what they're going to do to get to that. It's not really that, I don't know, feasible or whatnot. It's not, like, what are they going to do to keep things interesting in the meantime? Like, we can't do what they did with Seth Rollins and Triple H and have them just go away and never address it again. Of course, Again, like this, could, but again, it's like, how do you get this to WrestleMania? Like, that's the problem. Like, it's obvious there's matches they want to get to WrestleMania, but some of us are just like, well, wait, what is this, and that, and whatnot? But, like I said, I just don't know how they're going to do this. And I even hear rumors that Jey Uso's contract expires 3 days before All In. You really think of this as storyline-wise and having Jey, get moved to the alumni and quit and go to AEW? I mean, if he was going there for a brief period, like, that'd be interesting. But once again, like, would they really allow him to do that? You know what I mean? But thank you for your stuff in the live chat, guys. But I'm exhausted. I'm getting tired. I guess I'll just see you guys soon. Again, hopefully I won't get this behind on reviews this week, but hopefully, it will be on a smooth sailing motion. Again, can't always guarantee live streams, but there's a couple talk points I wanted to make about this episode, so we went live. So guys, again, I do see Tyler's and TNQ Parter's stuff in the live chat. I do appreciate that, guys, but again, I am dead tired, and I'm going to get ready to go to bed. But what are your guys' thoughts on this episode of SmackDown? I gave it a B-. Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter at the Club of the Man 93. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.